Have you ever spent a lot of time on something and then afterwards realized that if you would have just waited, you wouldn't have had to spend so much time on the activity? Recently, I spent a lot of time designing a creative exercise for my Sunday school class here at my church. I woke up early in the morning to do this. I spent time at lunch to do this, just working on it over and over again. Even bought some materials for it. Upon asking my wife what she thought about the exercise, we came to the conclusion that honestly, it was just way too complex and we would just take way too much time out of the class. If I simply would have just waited and asked my wife what she thought first of the initial idea before diving into all the complexities of it, I would have had to go through the disappointment of being unable to do the exercise at all. You likely have your own moments when impatience cost you more than waiting would have. Genesis 16 brings us to a moment when waiting becomes difficult. Earlier in Genesis 12, you might remember, we saw Abram make waiting and worshiping a habit. But what happens when waiting and worshiping on God is met with unanswered promises. Genesis 16 opens with devastating words. Text says, "Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not given birth to any children." After 10 years being in the land, Abram and Sarai are still without children. Maybe you can relate to this moment by thinking of moments when you asked the Lord for something and you were met with silence. You asked, but met with silence. Asked, met with silence. After a while, you begin to wonder if maybe God just isn't caring anymore. Maybe he has forgotten me. In the middle of waiting and worshiping for more than a decade, Sarai decides to take things into her own hands. Once again, we hear the scary notes that started in Genesis 3. Remember, Eve saw the fruit and took it. In Genesis 6, the sons of God saw the daughters of humankind and took them. In Genesis 12, Pharaoh saw Sarai and took her into his bedchamber. In Genesis 16, the notes are strummed again, but now in reverse. Sarai was taken by an Egyptian to be used as a concubine, and here Sarai takes an Egyptian slave, Hagar, and demands Abram to have sexual intercourse with her and become his wife. Waiting on God can become difficult because we begin to second guess if God still notices. Can you hear Sarai's pain as Genesis 16:2 says this? "So Sarai said to Abram, 'Since the Lord,'" God's covenantal name, "'has prevented me from having children.'" And I just want to stop right there and say this. Nowhere in the text does it say that God prevented Sarai from having children. But when we are waiting and worshiping with only silence, we can begin to doubt who God is. We can forget that God is generous, that this is the God who made plants with the ability to reproduce. This is the God that says, just fill the earth and multiply. As you read this story, you'll be able to see who the Lord truly is amidst impatience. But not from Sarai's perspective, at least not yet. Instead, it's going to be from Hagar's eyes. While in the wilderness, on the run from her abusers, Hagar comes into contact with the Lord. From that encounter, Hagar says this of the Lord, "The God who sees me." This moment shows God promising Hagar that she will have a son and that he will be blessed. God shows up to show what type of God he really is. Not a God of forgetting, but the God who sees the oppressed. And so as we are in the process of becoming new creations, as we are walking in a new beginning, may we not just wait and worship, but may we also wonder. When waiting and worshiping become hard, wonder how God just might show up. I encourage you to wonder about heaven and ask the Lord to make the earth like heaven. I encourage you to wonder about Jesus, who met the Samaritan woman at a well in the middle of the day due to her feeling ashamed. And yet, the Lord revealed his identity to her. Sarai felt deep shame because she was barren, yet God will name her princess in chapter 17. Hagar felt deep shame, yet God blesses her. In moments when you begin to feel impatient or disappointed that God has still not shown up, don't try to resolve the tension through your own doings. Instead, When waiting and worshiping become hard, wonder just how great our God is when he does show up.